At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
Looking for amazing finds and incredible deals? Visit Erie City Mission Thrift today. From stylish clothes and shoes to quality furniture and home goods, you'll discover something new each time while changing lives right here in Erie. It's shopping that feels good and does good. Come see us in Erie and Girard. Erie City Mission Thrift. Thrift with a purpose.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie, PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
And we are excited to have with us here someone's become a good friend here because we spent a lot of time together here in the studio. Dr. Matthew Platz, he's the executive director of the Corry Higher Education Council. Matt, this is what the afternoon looks like.
It looks very different.
Yes, it does.
Very different. And it's very strange being in this chair instead of that one.
You realize that, when you show up at like 7:30, 7:45 on a Friday morning these days, it's dark.
Yeah, definitely. So living in Erie, working in Corry, throughout the summer, the sun's up when I start my drive about 7 o'clock. Lately, it's dark for a good portion of the way.
Right. Are you dodging deer on the way down?
All the time. Time. Yeah, it's always a concern. Been very fortunate. I have had in the almost 3 years that I've been there, like 2 run out that were fairly close, but yeah.
Tell us again about how you came up, because you've had quite a journey here, from all the different things that you've done. Did you grow up in this neck of the woods?
I did. I graduated from Girard High School.
Okay.
A few years back.
Did you play ball?
I did not. I was cross country and track.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Got fairly good at cross country, pretty good at track. My junior year, I was fairly good, and then senior year, I had an injury that kind of.
Who was your distance coach back then?
It was Dan Weidler.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, Girard's one of those really good sports schools, is all I'm saying.
Well, not football when I was there, but
basketball. Girls basketball was huge. Right?
Girls basketball and the boys team was very good.
Yes.
In the '90s with Mark Blucas and.
So you're that era. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
wow.
I'm a little younger than those guys, but.
Yeah. So, and then where'd you go to undergrad and all that stuff?
For my first year, I went far away. I decided I wanted to get out of this town. I was going to shake my boots loose of Erie, Pennsylvania. And I went to Alfred
George
State.
Bailey.
I went to Alfred State. And funny story. They had the quarterly breakfast at EC3 this morning.
Okay.
And they talked about how community college students kind of succeed more when they take their associate's degree and transfer into a 4-year degree. They actually perform better than the students that came in at that ground level. I say all that to say this. The first year I went to Alfred State College up in Alfred, New York, about 7-8 hours away. I didn't know how to college. And high school was very easy for me. I didn't have to try very hard, didn't have to study very hard. I could do the homework in no time, turn it in, and get good grades on tests. But that does not prepare you for college.
Sure doesn't.
So that first year was kind of a failure. I didn't do very well. The grades were not good. So I decided to come back home, and I went to Edinburgh University, 1 year delayed. So a lot of what I do now kind of hits on these moments of learned experience, lived experience. So Edinburgh, I graduated from there in 2001. Mm-hmm. From there, shortly after I graduated, it was one of these ideas that I didn't know what I wanted to do. Got the degree, don't know what I want to work in. I got my degree in speech communications with a broadcasting focus.
Sure.
Here we are doing the radio show.
Exactly.
Which is always what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But the jobs weren't there. They were part-time. A lot of them, you did the remotes. You through the koozies and pens and all that stuff. But that wasn't enough to pay my bills and do all the things. So for a short time, I was working as a cook. And that taught transferable skills. If you've ever been in the service industry, it's a perfect thing for younger people. You learn a lot of the skills you'll need later on in life. With all of that, I finally got my first professional job at Mercyhurst College at the time. That was in 2003. I started part-time in the police and safety department as a dispatcher. We can fast forward quite a bit. Through all that time, I was kind of just drifting. I never really was hitting the thing that was doing it for me. So through that, up until 2015, I moved kind of up through the ranks. I ended there as a police lieutenant, having gone to the police academy in 2011.
Did you have to get the full Act whatever?
Oh, yeah. The Act 120 out at Mercyhurst Northeast. I spent the 6 months out there at 34 years old with mostly 21 and 22-year-olds.
Oh, my God.
Which was one of the bigger challenges of my life.
I have heard of people in their 40s that go to become a police officer. And they do all that.
It is extraordinarily difficult for an older person to get through that. I mean, the requirements to graduate are a little lower, but they don't excuse you from many of the
your physical
tactics and all that.
You have your physical acumen has to be there, right?
Sure.
I mean,
so I got that done in 2011. I left the police department at Mercyhurst to go work in the athletics department in 2015. That for me was a moment where I wanted to spend more time with my family, and police work was a lot of nights and weekends. Now, if you go to the athletics department, you're still working nights and weekends. There's games and meets and everything that happen late at night. However, they're family friendly. So I could bring my kids over to Mercyhurst. We lived across the street for a while. And they got to experience a lot of the athletics that was going on. I worked in that department, kind of taking care of the budgets. There was, at the time, about a $5 million athletic budget. Kind of managed that with each of the coaches, working, trying to keep them under budget and find auxiliary revenue. That worked right up until 2020 when COVID hit, and a lot of people's inflection point. I lost my job at Mercyhurst. That was 17 years that I was there.
Wow.
And it was a difficult time. At that time, I had a lot of hard feelings about it. But I feel like it was one of those moments where I got a little bit of time to give it some thought, and I never did that. So this is why what I do now is so important, kind of eliminating that 17-year search for people. Let's find what you're passionate about now, and then get you there as cheaply and as quickly as we possibly can.
Is it? Well, I'm going to hold. I'll hold my question. You keep going there. So at some point, you said, let's go for the PhD, right?
Well, yeah. During my time at Mercyhurst, actually, took advantage of the tuition.
Nice.
Got my master's degree. I was able to take those
classes. And what was that in?
Organizational learning.
So you had speech comm, org learning. Okay.
Organizational leadership.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, I get them kind of confused.
Sure.
And then I've always had this okay, I'm kind of bored. What can I do outside of what I do for my job? And I got it in my head. I'm going to take the PhD courses at Gannon for organizational learning and leadership.
Wow.
So that was a lengthy process. I was the last member of our cohort to complete the dissertation. It took me forever. It was like 7 years.
What was your subject?
It was actually a study of the progression of leadership in the higher education environment and kind of how those people wind up in the positions that they are. Much like we were talking about Dr. Anderson from Edinburgh.
He was a K-12 teacher.
Right.
And coach.
And I took a look at a bunch of different cases, talked to a bunch of different people throughout the country at certain types of colleges and universities to kind of map out how they got to those places and which ones were more effective than others. And
that sounds like a very cool research project.
Yeah,
it really does.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of participation from the top level leaders. I think they're very interested in finding out what I had to say with
Sure. That. Again, everybody wants to kind of shortcut this of saying, because they all had journeys too, you did.
Right.
So obviously your panel liked what you came up with, huh?
Yeah. Well, at the end of it, it was there was a lot of revisions and time spent with the my dissertation chair. She was very thorough, made sure we got. The issue is that at the end of my time, when I was nearly complete, Gannon announced the closure of that department. So it kind of threw everything into a speed mode where it was like, okay,
had to get her done.
Yeah, I think some of the revisions needed, some more tweaking, but it got done. And they say what's the best dissertation is the one that's done, and it is done.
I'm thinking that this is going to sound terrible, but Dr. Roberts never got that done. So, I mean, good for you.
Well,
I mean, no, seriously.
Didn't he get one somewhere?
Well, he got it like an Ed-D. Anyway.
And then, a lot of people.
Yeah, we don't need to go there. I'm just saying there's a lot of folks with all but dissertation.
Oh, a lot of folks take the
ABDs,
classes, and then, it's an incredibly difficult process.
Sure,
it's not easy. Yeah.
But it's not supposed to be easy.
No,
mean,
it's
the
not.
whole, and kudos to you, because it's a young woman's game, and you did it, almost 40 or into your 40s?
When did I? 2023, I think I got done.
All right, just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're definitely
early
in your
40s.
Early 40s, yeah.
Kids,
yes.
Running around.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. This is the question I wanted to ask you, because you're talking about what you're truly passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it come in, and would there be a place for ascertaining not just passion, but what you're truly gifted at? I'm talking about your strengths. And again, I'm a huge Strength Finders, Gallup Strength Finders tool, really homing in on what you're capable of doing. And every time I've done a tool like this, it comes out to what I'm doing.
Right.
And so, I mean, I just get a lot of self-fulfillment. And I'm like, this is kind of what you do at the Corry Higher Ed, is like, let's set these kids up for success. But it's more than just passion. It's like, hey, this guy could be passionate about gaming, but he's really good with his hands.
Right.
Talk about that.
I think that's a continuation of where we were when I lost my job in 2020, and what kind of resulted from that. During that time, there was a lot of unemployment. The federal government was giving more money. I made more money unemployed for that time than I did when I was working at Mercier.
Oh my gosh.
What it allowed me to do is do the thing that I had not done from the time I graduated from high school. And it was that self-reflection of what am I passionate about? I did these 17 years without actually doing anything that I cared about that much. And that may have been part of the reason I was let go too. I was just kind of like going through the motion. So having that time to sit with my thoughts and figure out what it was I wanted to do and what brings me passion, I came to the idea that it didn't really matter where I worked. What I wanted to do was help other people succeed, overcome the barriers, the challenges that they have. That led me to a job at the MCRC, Multicultural Community Resource Center, which was probably going to go down in my career history as the job that reformed my thought and made me think very differently about the world at large. I was more conservative, probably, our job's this or that. Mm-hmm. Meeting the refugees that come in through that channel changed how I looked at everything, and it was a real opportunity for me to be able to help people in a place where they have extraordinary barriers. Not knowing the language, number one. Can you imagine the difficulty of just going to school? The kids didn't know the language. They have to go to Erie High or anywhere and try to fit in. The challenges were enormous. So doing that job kind of put me on that path. Okay, how can I help people? The job down at Corry, at the Corry Higher Education Council, kind of presented the idea that, that education piece, you studied it in your dissertation, how do you get to where you're going? It put all the pieces together for me. And it's an honor every day. I have to drive 40 minutes to get down there, but I don't hate it. I get up and I go to work. And when you kind of talked about, you do the assessment, you're right where you want to be. There's a lot of people say about nonprofits. I assure you, I'm not getting rich doing this job, but it is where I want to be. And the opportunities that we have to be able to provide education and mark those pathways for younger people at an earlier age so they don't make the mistake I made, that's something that I'm passionate about. Let's figure out what you want to do so you're not, as your previous guest said, failure to launch and sitting in the basement. That we get them early and get them into what they want to do, because I believe strongly that people say that these younger people don't want to work, right? You hear that all the time. It's a general broad brush. I don't believe that. But if you find out what they're really passionate about, they will work, and they'll do a very good job. Now, they want a quality of life. That's very different. You know, we were told, oh, you work to 40 hours, you put the time in, that's what you do, kid. And there's overtime, you should take it because we don't pay you much. You know?
Right.
And we did that without questioning. But kids and younger people today, they have a quality of life. There's this talk of like a 4-day week. You know, manufacturers in Corry say this all the time. Many of them are looking for employees. They're short.
You're right.
They just don't have the number of people that they need. 2 manufacturers that I know of have a 4-day work week. They don't have an employment issue.
Isn't that interesting? We're talking to Dr. Matthew Platz. He's from the Corry High Ed. It's fascinating to hear this perspective of what the workforce situation is, and we're going to get into what they do at Corry High Ed to build the workforce, especially in southeastern Erie County and the surrounding areas, as well as the impact of the state's budget impasse on organizations like Matt. This $35,000 grant that the partnership called the Corry Comprehensive Small Business Cooperative. Let's take a minute or two and talk about this here. It's through the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority's Building a Better Future program, and you're trying to kind of give a boost to the small business ecosystem. Talk about that.
Sure. So before I got to the Corry High Ed, they had gone through a strategic planning session, and it was very in-depth. They worked with a consultant. They talked to many stakeholders throughout our community. One of the things that they focused on, and one of the strategical approaches that the Corry High Ed needed to be involved in, is entrepreneurship and creating, removing barriers, kind of working with our entrepreneurs in our area to kind of build our economic base. Our economic base is manufacturing. You have Lath on the show, Economic Pulse. He talks about Mark Lotman a lot. I've kind of gleaned a lot out of that book when he recommended it. He mentions 10, kind of industries that are the economic basis of most cities and towns. Ours is definitely manufacturing, but close second is entrepreneurship. Healthcare is up there too with LECOM, but entrepreneurship is kind of the wheels that make everything go. Without our small businesses down there, we would be lost, you know.
I think the key, too, is having entrepreneurs that are generating some kind of business or product that brings money outside in, as opposed, I mean, as much as we love, like, the restaurants and the HVAC people, they circulate money within the community. We need both. We need money coming from outside the community.
Tourism is huge too.
Tourism, absolutely.
You do the entrepreneurship with tourism, because those are the two things. You want people from outside to come in and buy the goods and services that you provide, and we have great ones down in Corry. But we have this opportunity with ECRA. They put out a grant to help entrepreneurs in the areas. I have found over the years working at MCRC and the Corry High Ed that the best grants, the ones that they really take a look at, are the ones where you work cooperatively and collaboratively with other agencies. So we felt we had a really good opportunity here where we could work with the Corry Area Chamber of Commerce as well as an Impact Corry to kind of put this together and provide some real supports. We were awarded the grant, fortunate to get the $35,000 to be able to put this on, and what we've been able to get out of it, and what we will provide to entrepreneurs in our area, it's just it's one of those phenomenal things that most places don't get. The Placer AI software, they got us a 1-year license for that. I started playing with it. We had some training today. The business insights that you get from that, it's going to be so priceless for people who are operating in the small business atmosphere down in Corry. as well as Union City. We kind of made it like a large footprint.
And you're also doing some micro grants, it looks like,
right.
help businesses with fewer than 25 employees with their marketing and equipment. Really, that's really, again, a boost.
It's getting them over the hump.
Absolutely.
All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree East 5th next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get on board.
Group studio here at 5th and State, also live on YouTube and on Facebook. And I'm glad to have back with us here Dr. Matthew Platz. He is the Executive Director for the Corry Higher Education Council. And we're talking about a couple things. And you're so kind to come at short notice here, Matt, because I was excited about this big announcement yesterday about this grant that you received from the Gaming Revenue Authority. So it's this location intelligence tool called Placer ID and a Spark Fund micro grant program providing matching funds to help small businesses grow. Let's dig into that a little bit here.
Sure.
You're talking about, like, just to give a boost. So, like, what is a micro grant? What do they mean by that?
Sure. So we hear a lot of entrepreneurs, and we talk to them on the Friday show quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they're in various stages of growth. Some of them are very new. Some may not. They may still have their idea on a napkin and haven't started at all.
Wow.
But as you go along in the entrepreneurial journey, a lot of times that initial little spark, that initial funding is such a crucial piece. For this, it's probably more so for the folks that have an established business that are looking to grow and become maybe something a little bit bigger, maybe change the way they're marketing, maybe increasing their footprint in their building. But they need that little bit to kind of get it over the hump. So what the micro grant program does is it allows us to fund them up to $2,500, but they have to put their skin in the game. It's their business. They match that with $2,500 for a total project of $5,000. So I think it's probably more for the entrepreneurs that are started. They kind of have an established footprint and they're ready to go, but they have a great idea and they just need a little bit of funding.
Yeah, they might have some trailing cash flow that they've been able to bank, and this is just going to be that, like you call it, spark.
Right.
To get them going here. Things like you're talking about marketing, equipment, technology, strategic growth. I mean, we're talking about social media campaign, maybe run some commercials or updating the logo, signage. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, all that stuff costs money.
Absolutely. In a lot of ways, it does. But updating the logo, one thing I would say is that they should enter the Beehive because
there you go.
Right. We want to take advantage of the free resources that we have, and we have an ecosystem here in Erie that works just fantastically. We talk about it on Friday quite a bit. But yeah, marketing can cost a lot. That may be something that people leave off initially. Marketing campaigns, if you go to Constant Contact or you try to buy ad time, media is changing quite a bit.
Yeah.
You're looking at streaming. You're trying to get ads on YouTube. Those can be very expensive. So, maybe you were thinking about a marketing program and you just didn't have the funds to put that together. This is something that can step in and kind of put you over a little bit with
your old Dell laptop that's 6 years old that you started the business on might need an update or something like that, or point of sale. I mean, again, getting into like a Square scenario or Toast.
And that's a great point. You may be very good at building wooden furniture. Maybe you take, you build these beautiful desks and chairs and everything. But what do you know about operating a website? What do you know about building that? There are people that can help you with that in the Beehive, but pushing things and marketing a little bit. This is the kind of funds that can help you get that over.
It's beautiful, and again, you did this in a collaboration with the chamber and also Impact Corry.
Right.
It's important to Corry and southeastern Erie County to have the Corry Higher Ed there. Again, available for training. You're kind of like a placeholder. Like when people are doing things in that education space, post-secondary, they seem to kind of like knock on your door, don't they?
Absolutely. I would say that they knock on our door for everything. That was something. That was something that I learned very early on. If there was something going on, any kind of educational programming, any kind of, it could be with other nonprofits. People would walk through our door expecting us to be knowledgeable about it and potentially having it in our facility. We are a trusted source of educational opportunity down in Corry, and it's something that we. I learned it right as soon as I got there that, people believe in us. They trust what we have to say, and we have to take care of that.
And your board is made of like business people and so on, educators or?
Right. So our board initially was a lot of very Corry-centric and a lot of great business people, some entrepreneurs, some in banking. We had some that were adjunct college professors. The president at the time when I got hired was a adjunct for EC3. So there's quite a breadth of experience. I have tried to kind of grow the board a little bit and bring in some of the Erie influence and looking at some of the stuff that we do just to get a plurality of ideas. Because
get kind of more regional a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Well, reason why I'm asking about, kind of the essentialness of the Corry Higher Ed in that space is here we are 100 days plus in the state budget impasse. And I'm concerned for organizations like yours. I'm concerned for your former employer, MCRC, and folks like that do essential services for, for new Americans and so on. And we can go on and on. Crime Victim Center. We can go talk about school districts and things, K-12. All these people that are dependent upon kind of the social services in and out that originates from the state. Maybe they're funneling federal funds, or maybe it's legislative mandates, right?
Right.
And right now, is anybody getting any money?
I think it's a very difficult place, just simply because the funding streams right now are all shut down. I don't do political conversations, but when the Trump administration came, there were certain federal grants that just weren't available anymore. And that has some real, teeth to it for certain organizations. MCRC, that's federal money that's a state pass-through that evaporated very quickly.
You're talking about the refugee resettlement?
Refugee resettlement. Yeah. There's ORR, Office of Refugee Resettlement, is where that money comes from, and it's from the federal government through the state, and then they take care of getting it to the individual organizations that offer those services. For us, we are one of 9 community education councils in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have a separate line item in the state budget. It's actually separated out. There were legislators in the 80s or 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that saw it as important to get educational opportunity into the rural sections of Pennsylvania. Mostly because you think of Pennsylvania, it's like, okay, Erie's here, Pittsburgh, and then Philadelphia. There's a lot of rural in between and 100%. A lot of people. And not providing educational opportunity to them is something that is of concern.
And this is kind of beyond the Pesci system, right? The Clarions and the Bloomsburgs.
We're not lumped into
Edinburghs.
that cash flow. I wish we were, because our line is actually very low. And one of the things I wanted to mention is nonprofits in general. There's discussion, nonprofits, they make too much money, executive directors. By and large, that's not the case. And you mentioned it. There's a ton of services out there that are provided by nonprofits. If they all went away tomorrow, you would be horrified. Most people in here are probably born in one.
Right.
So if you take it down from there, you kind of have the thing. But our state line has not increased in, I think we're going on the 4th year.
Wow.
So, increased cost, but that just keeps getting lowered and lowered. And every time that we have this extension, we're 100 days over right now. We were good financial stewards. We have auxiliary revenue we don't rely on the state for everything. My predecessor and now myself, we've been very good at bringing in money to kind of stick it away for the rainy day. But what does that do? I have that in a money market. I have that in an endowment with the Erie Community Foundation. I put that money in places where it works. We have to borrow from that, and then it's not making the interest, right? So not only do we not get our money in a timely fashion, we're losing some of our assets as we go along.
Wow.
So that's just us, and there's 9 of us throughout the state, and each of them are in a different financial place.
Right.
So it is very difficult to know, where they are. And
are you hearing any rumors about layoffs or furloughs or something like that?
Not with what we do.
Okay.
I'm not aware of it. We have an all director meeting coming up here in October. I think it's the 22nd. I'll find out.
It makes me wonder, like, what's going on with members of the intermediate unit. All of those school districts and things, because not every school district is flush with cash.
They did not stick it away for the rainy day.
No.
I don't know what that looks like. At a certain point, they're not going to be able to provide the service.
Wow. And you know what? Again, you don't have to get political. I will. It's a head scratcher to me that this just kind of goes on and on and on, and that there doesn't seem to be any kind of incentive to put a bow on it and get back to work.
This is very much trying to be used as a political bludgeon on the other side. There is.
Well, I know we have a governor. We have a governor's race next year.
There's a calculation that this is going to damage the other side, and they're just going to carry it on until which point somebody gives. I have friends on both sides of the political aisle. I work with all of the representatives and senators in our area. Scott Hutchinson represents Corry. He's like the little cutout that Senator Laughlin doesn't have. I work with Senator Laughlin, even though we're not in his district. We're advocates for what he does in a lot of spaces. Bizarro, Harkins, Smirsky, talk to them all the time. We have Jake Banta and the U shape that goes around the county when they gerrymandered everything. So, I don't, they always want to point I say pass the budget. Will you go back to Harrisburg and please pass a budget? You're not going to get everything you want. You're not going to get everything you want. Get this done.
Right. Right.
I've talking to Jake, I've said, listen, the contentious things, marijuana, legalization, skill games, that has to be discussed. That doesn't have anything to do with the schools or the CECs. Pass this stuff, and then hash that out later.
No, I totally agree, and it makes you wonder, what are the sticking points that are hitting on that? Is this, again, are we already litigating the 2026 governor's race in 2025? I don't know, but
to some extent, and everything kind of hits on everything, right? So we're talking about skill games. They want to see what the regulation looks like to that. Well, skill games are really hurting the casino, which is going to hurt grants like that. We're not going to have those available because of the Erie County Gaming and Revenue Authority. They won't be as robust if we have less casino money.
And again, but you have you're going to hurt the VFW and the American Legion. You can chew gum and walk at the same time. You can provide provisions for nonprofits that might have a skill game to keep their profit margins. Yet these kind of pop-up deals seem they're suspect to me. It's like it's just drawing down that capacity of the casino,
And not just that, where I do get political, I will say that those are strategically placed in populations that can least afford to lose their money.
100%. Yeah.
And I take umbrage with that. That's not something I support.
This is almost predatory.
Yeah.
It's almost predatory. So again, you have this broad background. You're almost uniquely qualified to weigh in on this stuff. I mean, we have these social services. We have the social service infrastructure here in Erie. I mean, do you get a sense that the longer this budget impasse goes, and then you add the federal shutdown, you've got real people in Erie, Corry, and all across Erie County that are going to be feeling pain or are already feeling pain.
Absolutely, and like I said, it's a political calculation. Hoping to assign blame to one political party or the other. And I believe very strongly that most people don't care about that. And we'll see how it shakes out. There is going to be pain if we don't get this figured out.
I'm worried about things like substance abuse and
Absolutely.
Drug and alcohol abatement and things. I mean, those are emergency situations.
Yeah, the county handles a lot of the social services that happen in this space, and
they seem to be okay. Money wise,
I don't know. A lot of that state pass down, right?
Exactly.
So there's a certain chunk of money missing from the county right now.
Yep.
What that looks like, I can't say. I'm not in the weeds on that. The county executive has mentioned that there's a surplus. So they're just like us, we were good financial stewards. If they have extra money, that's what they're working with right now. But again, that's not going to last forever. If this continues on, how far does it go?
Well, and the other part of this is why should a school district or why should the county, why should a social service agency have to go through this stress when it's absolutely not necessary? Here's the thing. The state made a contract with these entities to do thus and so. We will pay you for fee for service to conduct this drug and alcohol, or to run your county and keep the courts running and the law enforcement system, or to educate the children with basic education. We made a contract with you. And we're saying, oh no, we're not going to pony up.
Yeah.
We're going to make you wait. That just seems really, really cynical.
It was a very deep concern of mine with the federal government when, the refugee resettlement organizations, they had signed contracts and they said we're not going to pay the end of that. And what were they doing? Well, they're daring this small nonprofit to sue them, right? You can't afford to do that. Right. And that was the understanding. And I did not like that decision by the Trump administration. It's something that I kind of found offensive, to be honest with you.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, to be clear, some of these groups didn't get money since October.
Right,
I mean,
right. I know MCRC was one of those.
I mean, Trump did not take over till January. So I was dumbfounded by that whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's going on here? Why are they not paying the bills? I've just got like a minute or two left with Dr. Platz here, and when you think about, I want to kind of go back to where we started with and talk about the kids, because I think there's a lot of parents that listen to this show, a lot of grandparents, and they have this, they have this broad brush, concern. And it may be a very real concern. They're seeing their young person, and it's usually not the high schooler. It's actually the immediate post-secondary. It's that 18 to 24-year-old that just is not, like, it's that failure to launch, like Dr. Anderson was mentioning. What is, in your point of view, what do you think they should do?
I think that it's important there's a fairly well-known author that works in this space, Mark Perna. He has kind of determined that those young people do not lack the passion, but you have to unlock it. and you have to find what it is. And it is important at the high school level. I would say starting even in middle school.
As far as career search,
right.
Absolutely.
And not just like they used to do to us. You know, they give you that, what is that test where you...
fill in the numbers. Yeah.
Give them real impressions. Let them actually work in the space. And I have something with EC3 we might talk about a little bit later, and it's exciting. But giving those impressions, like letting a person come out, letting high school kids come out into the workforce and see what it is, and just continuously hit on things until they find what they're excited about. Yeah. And when you find what they're excited about, they will work hard. And that's what Mark Perna tries to get across in his keynotes and in his book. That's the important piece, is to find what they're passionate about, and they'll work hard for you. It's just a little different than what we used to do.
Again, you're a parent, you have teenagers and so on. How do you approach building resiliency?
That's an important thing. I talk about that a lot with my daughters, actually.
Do you?
Yeah. My youngest is a softball player. And if you know softball, baseball, that is a sport of failure. You fail.
That's right. You fail.
The best
a 250 hitter is a pretty good hitter.
The best hitters in the majors miss 7 out of 10 times. Right. 7 out of 10, they screw it up, and they have to go sit down on the bench. So I'm hammering those kind of things home all the time. Mm-hmm. My oldest daughter, Abby, she actually texted me a while ago, and she had to do a project in one of her classes where she set up as a grant funding agency, and she required groups in the class to create grants. And she said she was going to score them and then give them the letters that say, hey, you got approved and you didn't. When she asked me about it, I'm like, actually, I got one of those you don't get the grants today. And so I had the letter and I sent it to her. I'm like, this is what they look like. and I think it's important for parents to do that. You need to let your kids know that not everything's going to be roses. Not everything is perfect.
Life isn't always right, up to the right and up.
Right. Let them know you're going to fail. I've failed several times. Got fired once. I mean, this is going to happen. You have to pick yourself up and get back at it.
Dr. Matthew Platz, again, the Executive Director of the Corry Higher Education Council. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.